Yo guys, what's going on? I'm Keegan. If you enjoyed this review, be sure to hit that subscribe button and put your opinions down there in the comment section. Dire Straits Brothers in Arms. Dire Straits. You know them, maybe you love them, maybe you hate them. They're a very polarizing band. Never before have I seen such a successful band have such a divided consensus. One of the best-selling albums of all time, and a fairly huge crossover act from Britain, and music listeners are still unsure as to whether or not the music is good or not. Speaking of best-selling albums, this viewer suggestion is on the biggest success of Mark Knopfler and Company, having sold over 30 million copies worldwide and the 8th best-selling album in Britain. In fact, the album as a whole was so successful that it nearly tore the band apart. Supposedly, Mark Knopfler was so sick of touring and fame and of the album in general that he exited the band and left the other band members exhausted from touring. But we're not here to talk about the band, we're here to talk about the album, and so we shall. The first and only single and also the opener of the album was So Far Away, which is a very fitting opener. It's got a nice, relaxing feel to it, and the chorus is incredibly catchy. Definitely a lot of synth is present on this song, which is one of the main reasons why a lot of people were turned off from this band. Oh, they're a rock band. Rock bands don't use synthesizers. In my opinion, I think that's what made Dire Straits such a unique band. They were able to break rock's boundaries and transform into something more experimental. And this song and album were definitely a stepping stone into popularizing that sound for the mainstream. And of course, now it's time to talk about Money for Nothing. Easily the most popular song from this album and one of the biggest hits of Dire Straits' career. I've got a lot to praise about this song. First off, Sting from the Police's performance on the opener and near the end, his falsetto sounds so effortless and angelic. The eargasmic, notorious guitar riff, which I know a lot of people are sick of hearing, I personally don't see it. The build-up to the riff just makes it seem like the light at the end of the tunnel, and to me, that feeling will never get old. And neither will this riff, it's so gritty and raw. Lyrically, I'm sure many of you know, is from the perspective of a hardware store worker criticizing the rock stars on TV. Oddly enough, this video was one of the first ones to be played on MTV despite its lyrics. The irony is strong with this one. Despite its generally taboo length of 8.5 minutes, it doesn't feel overly long. It keeps its message in a tight package, and it's one of my favorite songs on the album. Walk of Life is definitely the poppiest song on the record, featuring this fun, perky, and recognizable synth melody that sounds like something I would hear straight out of a musical. Lyrically, the song is about this man named Johnny busking in the subway, which are essentially, you know, those street performers playing like 7-8 instruments at a time, which is also why he's mentioned playing or performing all these different songs, because that would be part of his set. In my opinion, it's one of the more memorable songs on this album. Your Latest Trick is this beautiful, jazz-infused rock ballad, and probably my favorite song on this album. While the intro is a tad long in my opinion, it all makes up for it with Michael Brecker's saxophone that carries the song completely. Mark Knopfler's lighter singing makes this song seem happier than it actually is, with the song lyrically being a breakup song and how he has no choice but to hand it to them and their latest trick, which is a surprisingly melancholic way to look at it, but it doesn't make the song any less heart-wrenching. It is such a beautiful song, I don't think I could ever get sick of it. Why Worry is this fantastic ballad with this soft, calming guitar riff and synths. Knopfler's voice is so gentle and elegant that I wouldn't be surprised if this song is used as a lullaby by someone. My only gripe with this song is that the outro is way too long. The full version is 8 minutes and 28 seconds, and the last word spoken is exactly at 4 minutes and 6 seconds. So maybe if the last part of the song was shorter, I would enjoy the song a lot more, or actually play it the whole way through. But for what it is, it's great, soothing, and just a song you can lay back and close your eyes to. Ride Across the River has this bubbly beat to it, and in all honesty, it's one of the more underwhelming songs on the album. First off, the song is just way too long for a song like this. However, I really enjoy and respect the lyrics on this song, where it talks about war and how it's nothing but a killing game. Also, Ride Across the River could mean like a double entendre here, where it could mean like literally as in riding the river onto enemy territory, but it could also mean like ascending into heaven. Still a fine song, but not a personal favorite of mine. The Man's Too Strong has this western kind of country twang to it, which I find very catchy. Also, the runtime is very fitting and not overly long. But in all honesty, this is another forgettable moment for me. It's just not as groundbreaking as the first half of this album. The lyrics are very open for discussion. I've heard a few people describe it as Germany in World War II. But my personal favorite belief is that the man in this song is meant to mean the devil, especially with all the references to Judas, and when he mentions the father, it could possibly be a priest at a confession. Yet again, it's a fine song, it's just not a very interesting one. One World is easily the most filler song on this album, even more than the 2 songs before it. Sure, while it does pick up the album from this lull that it's been in for the past 4 songs, the guitar isn't overly mind-blowing. There's little synth to add extra tang to this song, and it just kind of feels like a normal rock song. Even down to its length, which really isn't what this album is. Lyrically, the song really accents the blues feeling, basically being about how the singer is broke, he's not happy in his relationships, and the world just being a down place overall. In my opinion, it's the most boring and worst song on the album. Finally, the closer, Brothers in Arms, is haunting and an extremely fitting closer. The ominous synth is played for the first 2 minutes of the song until it picks up with this eerie guitar that suits these lyrics, which are, in my opinion, a bit more generic than people make it out to be, just mainly about war in general, not about a specific war. The song specifically addresses how humanity's greatest acts, such as love and trust, get torn apart during times of war, which is an extremely sad truth when delved into. I'm so happy that this song was the closing number. It is beautiful. Overall, as I'm sure as you could pick up through this review, I'm a supporter of this album. In my opinion, it's one of the band's most focused albums and certainly deserving of being one of the best-selling albums of all time. I'm feeling about an 8.5 on this album. Well guys, hope you enjoyed that review. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.